Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 3 of the Entrefluential Life podcast. My name is John Tanner, and I'm your host.
And how's it going? I'm Sebastian Tanner. I am the co-host for this evening.
All right, so we are going to start off with our physical, mental, and spiritual tips for you guys. And Sebastian is going to take the microphone first and start you off with the physical tip.
All right, so today I have a nutrition tip for us. It is to eat more nuts and seeds. So most people would try to avoid these because they're high in fat, and a lot of people are going to try to avoid eating a lot of fatty foods, but it's important to have the foods that have the right fat, kind of like avocados, for example. The good thing about having more nuts and seeds is that they're packed with protein, fiber, and a different variety of vitamins and minerals as well. And they also may reduce the risk of developing type 2 diabetes and heart disease. So they're good for you. It's got a lot of protein and fiber. So this fiber is going to help your metabolism get faster, help you go to the bathroom more. And it also has some good health aids as well that can reduce the risk of some certain heart disease and diabetes.
Okay, good. Sebastian, can we get a link to put on our description for people who want to purchase some of these recommendations that you have? The flax seeds or whatever?
Um,
We can get
yeah,
one of those?
nuts and seeds. One a good one is almonds. I love to have almonds. They make different kinds. Like wasabi almonds are my favorite. So
Mm.
we can probably just put a link in there for Amazon for some wasabi almonds. Those are
Okay,
my
great.
new favorites.
Actually, I have a jar of almonds. They have, I think they're sriracha or some kind of
Oh
spice.
wow!
They're really spicy and they're fantastic. They're in now, and I wish I would have had them out so we could show them on screen because people could see them. They're fantastic, and you can't eat more than a handful of them because they're so
They're
hot.
so spicy.
So good though, and
Oh
almonds
yeah,
are
I bet.
fantastic for your brain because
Really?
absolutely they help you with your memory. So
Wow.
when I was studying for the bar, I mean actually through all of law school, I always had a bowl of mixed nuts, because I read that almonds help you with your memory.
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
it helps you with your focus as well. So focus and memory, two critical things when you're studying, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, man, yeah, I love almonds too. They're very delicious. And cashews, I love cashews,
Oh, those are
especially
good. Yes.
the
Yeah,
cashews
those
that
are.
you get. Remember when we used to go to Dade County Youth Fair and we would buy the roasted cashews?
Yeah,
You know that was,
roasted. It has cinnamon on it. The good
yeah,
stuff.
the
Make it
cinnamon,
really
right?
sweet.
So delicious, man. What a great
Yeah,
combination that is. So
I
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. Those are fantastic. As a matter of fact, have you ever been to Bucky's gas station?
I don't think
No.
so.
Okay, so they have Bucky's in Texas, right? So I figured maybe because when you were living in Spring, Texas, in Houston, you might have gone to a Bucky's. So
Man,
you're
go ahead, go
uh,
ahead.
no,
Oh, it was a while ago.
And Cynthia's like, oh, she loves that place, right? And Grandma hasn't been yet. So I went to they have Bucky's now over here, and I went to the one
Yeah.
in St. Johns County. They have the one there, and then also in Daytona Beach.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, they have those peanuts there at that
Yeah.
place. So just
Oh,
the same,
man.
exactly like the ones that we would get at Dade County Youth Fair.
I know those were good, and the elephant ears too. And it's so bad
Oh,
for you, but it
God.
tastes so good. And then you get the corn dogs, the humongous corn dogs, and you
Oh
get
my
a
God, and the
large
gyros,
Coke,
right?
and the gyros, and you get the
Uh,
big drumstick, the chicken leg, make you feel like you're a Viking.
yep, yep. I already had dinner, but I'm getting hungry again.
I haven't had dinner
um,
yet, so I'm already hungry.
all right, so you're getting ideas, right?
Yeah, yeah. Don't tempt me. I'm trying to follow my diet.
Yeah, stay strong, man. Stay strong. Like the Mandalorian would say, "This is the way."
This is the way.
All right, so awesome. Thank you for that physical health tip, Sebastian. That's
Of course.
awesome. For those of you who don't know, Sebastian is studying to get his national registered personal trainer certification. So he's bringing the good health to us, man. Thank you, Sebastian.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm doing my best.
All outstanding. So I have the mental tip, and for today's mental tip, I am going to introduce you to the 6 high performance habits by Brendan Burchard. If you have not read High Performance Habits by Brendan Burchard, I highly recommend it. And I'm going to put a link to that book on Amazon inside of the show description after we finish this recording so that you guys can access it. But here are the HP6. Number one, high performance habit number one is seek clarity. And to give you an example of what I have done is I've taken the high performance habits and I've put it on my cell phone. I have a daily reminder. I wake up every morning and I do two things. Number one, I have two cell phones, one for my business and one for my personal use, which I still use it for business as well, to be frank. But I open up YouTube on one cell phone and I play these frequencies, right? Because if you ever heard of the Silva method, there's been scientific studies about frequencies and how by the emission of a certain signal, these radio waves, these electrical waves are transmitted from your brain and makes things happen for you, right? So like there's some people have extrasensory perception, ESP, or what we would call psychic awareness. And there's just wild studies that have been done. Like somebody would be thinking on the other side of the planet. They're thinking about this content, and then this study group was able to think about what they were thinking about at that other location because of practiced ESP. And so, anyways, so yeah, I know I want to learn more about the Silva method. There's a website called mindvalley.com that you can sign up for a membership. I haven't done that yet. I'm thinking about doing it because I really want to explore this more. And I have an aunt who practiced the Silva method. She actually wrote a book about it, and hopefully I'm going to bring her on as a guest speaker at some point in the future. My cousin, her daughter, is going to be one of our guests pretty soon. Anyways, she has she's really brilliant. She has a master's degree in I don't know what. My aunt. I always admired her when I was a kid because she was so brilliant and just like this. The energy that she gave off was really fantastic. Anyway, her and her husband have been doing the Silva method for a long time, and let me tell you, her husband, my uncle Richard, he was sick, and he actually, I mean, like with a death call, right? Like, I mean, that, and then he has programmed himself like out of that illness, and like he was supposed to expire like a couple of years ago, and he's still around kicking it. Okay, so like he has transcended science. Okay, so like it's just amazing what you can do when you put your mind to it, right? And so the Silva method, I think, is one of those platforms to help you plug into that. So anyway, I'm just going off on a tangent here, but what I want to let me circle back to my morning routine. I put on a frequency because I want to admit my desires to the universe. Really, I'm admitting it to God, okay? Because we're a Christian station, and so let me call it who I believe we're talking to is God. So I admit my desires to God, and then I oftentimes manifest a lot of the things. Sometimes it takes a little longer than I hope, but many times in my life, in the last 48 years of my life, I've manifested a ton of things. And so this is my practice. I put on this frequency so I feel like I'm in the right signal.
It boosts your own frequency. When you play that frequency outside, it boosts the frequency inside.
Right. And so there's different frequencies that you can use for healing your body, for attracting the law of attraction, bringing things into you, like manifesting wealth and so forth. So I'm doing healing things to heal my body because as I'm getting older, close to 50, things aren't working out. Like my knees, for instance, aren't working as good as they used to. And so like I'm doing this healing routine. And then I go through my mindset meditation content that's on my cell phone that opens up every morning at 5 a.m. And on that, I have what's called the HP6+7. So I've taken the 6 high performance habits and I've merged them with the 7 habits of highly effective people. And so those things come out together. And so here's HP1, seek clarity. And I'm just going to read my own. You would write these paragraphs down to fit your what clarity is for you. So here's my
personalize clarity. It,
right. You personalize it. So here's my HP1, seek clarity. I know who I am. I am clear about my values, strengths, and weaknesses, right? You want to know about your strengths and weaknesses. Be aware of both. I know what I want. I'm clear about my goals, aspirations, and passions. I know how to get what I want. I plan my work and work my plan to achieve my dreams. HP2, generate energy. Release stress and tension and get intentional. Bring the joy, positive energy, and optimize health. So these are instructions that I'm giving to myself. And as you repeat them, I repeat them every single day. And as you repeat your own personal instructions, they sync from your conscious mind to your subconscious mind. and then you start living out every step of these instructions without even thinking about it. Just like you
Absolutely.
chew gum, just like you breathe. You know what I mean?
You make it second nature. It becomes muscle memory. You keep when you tell the body when you tell the when the mind wherever the mind goes, the body will follow. So you tell the mind that this is going to happen. Chances are that will happen. Maybe not right in that moment, but over time of constant consistency and no matter what comes through your way, you're always believing the same idea. Then it will happen.
That's
It's meant
100%
for
right.
you.
It's like programming a computer to do a task, right? It's like programming your alarm clock to turn on at 5 a.m.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
So so that's what we're doing here. So I'll continue on with that one. There's I got four more to go, and I'm not going to read all of my personal ones because there's a lot of content here. Uh, but let me just go ahead and go through my list, right? So you write your intentions, and then you go through it. You read it out loud to yourself or read it in your mind every single day. So the first one was seek clarity. HP2 is generate energy. So talking about physical fitness, right?
Yes.
HP3 is raise necessity. And by that, you have to be obsessed with your goal. So, like, if you want to
Yeah.
be a personal trainer, then you need to be obsessed with being the best personal trainer out there in the world. You know what I mean?
Yes. Of course. Yeah. Otherwise,
Right?
why are you doing it if you don't really love it?
Yeah,
If you're not
exactly.
going
If
to
you don't,
go the
huh?
extreme measure, if you're not going to go the extreme measure to do it, then there's no point.
Exactly. Like, go do something else, man. Right? Like let
Yeah.
other people who are passionate about it step in and fill that place. For people who
Yep.
need personal training. So
Yeah.
that's what we're talking about. Like, be obsessed with your passion, your career. So raise necessity. Raise necessity is I have to do this. You know what?
Yes.
I'm going down with this ship. Either we're gonna float, we're gonna make it happen, or I'm sinking with the ship. That's
You
obsessed.
know, I read something somewhere that was along the lines of once you change I want to do something to I have to do something, that's when the change will occur.
That's
When you
awesome.
flip that pattern of your brain of their thinking from I want this, I wish this could happen to I have to make this happen, and
Yeah,
then you make it happen.
that's awesome. So you said you read that somewhere? You don't remember where you read
I
it?
I read it. I don't know where it's a quote. I don't know who said it. I don't know what philosopher, smart guy, whoever, intelligent guy out
Which,
there, motivational speaker. I don't know
yeah.
who it is, but they said something like when you change your thought process from wanting to do something to I have to do it, then you
hmm
make it happen, and that's when you change.
these positive things like that right there, that's a golden nugget, that nugget of wisdom. I believe that you continue to see those things over and over again because God puts them in your environment, right? He puts it in your
Yeah,
pathway to hear these lessons
you gotta open your
over
eyes
and
and ears.
over, right? So you become aware of it. You're like, hey, wait a second. This
Yeah,
is the third time I saw this statement. Let
exactly,
me pay more attention
exactly.
to it, right?
Yeah, then you can start to see it because it's right in your it's like in your face the whole time, but you never realize. And then finally, you're like, oh, so
Yep.
this is what the answer is, or this is how
Yep.
it is, or
This is what's the meaning behind that, right? So it's like, oh man, like, yes, okay, now the light bulb went off,
yeah,
the light bulb went off, and now I get it. Now I get it.
yeah,
Okay, so going on with the list, I got three more, right? So HP4 is increased productivity. Now let's think about that for a second. Increase productivity. What does that mean? Productivity. Be productive. What does that mean?
getting things done.
Getting things done, right? So Brandon Burchard calls it prolific quality outputs. Prolific, like boom. It has to
Yeah,
be substantial, right?
right.
Right? So getting things done, GSD mode, get stuff done,
Yep.
right? So some people say the other word, right? But yeah, we'll just keep it
I know
Canadian.
exactly what you were thinking.
Yeah, yeah. But we'll keep it rated PG and we'll say
Yeah.
get stuff done.
It's podcast
And
for everyone.
what's that?
I said it's supposed to be podcast for everyone.
The podcast for everyone, rated G. Man. I actually have a sign that goes along with this other one here, the now showing sign, and it's rated G. So I'm gonna have to put that on
Yeah.
the wall.
Yeah.
So prolific quality outputs, increase your productivity. Better to work hard. Like I would much rather work double shifts today than to be working a single shift forever. You know what I mean? For the
Yeah.
rest of my life, right? Work hard now while you're young. Like for the last 10 years, I've been working and going to school getting all these different degrees, learning as much as I can, applying
Yeah.
all those things, because I want to finish this race like in 10 years from now and be done, and then be able to. I mean, I'll never stop working because I just enjoy what I do,
Yeah.
but I want to get to a point where like I don't have to, everything's covered, and not have to be in your 70s and pushing a cart at Walmart. Not that there's anything wrong with working at Walmart, but it's you don't want to
Wanna live
have to do that.
comfortably, yeah, and then you
You
can
know what
work
I mean?
on the things that you're passionate about, your hobbies, you
Exactly,
wanna
right?
spend
Exactly. I
time
want to be
on.
like a 90-year-old lawyer that's doing a real estate contract for somebody. You know what I mean?
Wow, yeah. Yep.
So, all right. So HP5 is develop influence. And that's why we have this show, the Entrefluential podcast, because you have to develop influence, which means nobody is going to give you business unless they know who you are and what
Yeah.
you're about, right?
Yep.
So you have to attract your tribe. I think we're all tribal people, and you've
Yep.
got to find who your tribe is and connect with them, right? And give
Yeah.
and take, right? We start
Yeah.
bartering with each other because we're living in this tribal environment, just like the old days. Hey, one guy's a hunter, he's going to go out and bring some meat to the tribe. Another guy's a farmer, he's going to go grow some potatoes for the tribe. And so we have to get out there and connect with our tribe and do our tasks so that we can, live in community better, right? So
Exactly.
influence is all about sharing your message, getting it out there in modern
Connecting
times,
with
which is
people
always
too.
innovative, right?
Yeah.
And then the last one is demonstrate courage. Demonstrate courage. And so do you remember that movie We Bought a Zoo?
Oh my yeah, I remember that
Do you
movie.
remember when this guy was talking about how he met his wife?
Matt Damon?
Yeah, Matt Damon,
Yeah.
and how he met his wife at a diner, and he saw her. He passed by, and he was like, "Oh my God, this girl's so beautiful." And he's like, "Okay." He remembered what his brother told him. All you need is 30 seconds of courage.
Yeah, I remember that, yup.
Remember that? Just 30
Yes.
seconds of
Yeah, I
courage, man.
remember now.
I wish I could apply that 100% all the time. I don't. I wish I did. To be honest, right? Like I just, I'm a
It's
coward
hard.
sometimes, man.
It's
But
hard.
30 seconds of courage, that message, like I have to remind myself, 30 seconds of courage, just dive in there, man. Just go for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so demonstrate courage is all about that. Just do it for 30 seconds, man.
Yeah.
And so punch fear in the face, as Sean Cannell would say at the media, punch fear in the face and dive in, right? And
Yep.
so you have to do that constantly, for your personal life and for your business life, right?
Yeah.
Just be courageous, man. We have to be courageous. And then the other thing in here is I include that I increase my confidence, because courageousness also ties into confidence, right? So one
Yeah.
of the biggest things and we talked about this in one of the previous episodes, is that there's a lack of self-confidence in America. Huge. Like
Right, yeah.
75% of our population is suffering from low self-esteem.
Yep.
And if you are suffering from low self-esteem, I've got some excellent resources available that you can take online on Udemy. You can link to that if you go to johnwtanner.com/courses. I have it available for free. So there's 2 classes in there. There's workbooks. There's a self-esteem assessment. It's very important that you become aware of your problems so that you can fix them. Awareness is key. First is admitting that you have a problem, and then second is taking action steps to fix the problem. And
Yep.
so having low self-esteem, lack of self-confidence is a problem. And if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you need to fix that now. Like better
You have to have
yesterday,
that,
but the
yeah.
second best day would be to do it today, right?
Yeah, because especially being in businesses, you have clients, you're gonna have customers, you can't have nothing to sell or nothing to offer. Somebody's gonna have to pay for something, and in order to have that business running smoothly, you have to be able to make connections with other people, get a good team working behind you, and to do that, you got to be a people person. Even if you're not, even if you're introverted, you got to become extroverted because otherwise, I mean, no one can do it completely alone. There's
Yeah.
no way to do it. You have to have a team,
Yeah.
somehow, some way. You gotta be able to connect with other people and
Yeah.
get good at that skill and have
Yeah.
that confidence to be able to do so and to walk out and go door to door if you have to or whatever the case is and putting yourself out there, and it's very scary. Even going live like this, we have who knows who could be watching us, but it doesn't really matter because we have that
A
confidence
mission.
in ourselves. We have our self-esteem that we know who we are, and
Hmm.
regardless of what anyone else thinks of us.
Hmm.
So I
Hmm.
think it's very important for us to have the self-esteem, the confidence in
Yeah.
ourselves.
Yeah. So it's about, like you said, business development, making sales. You need confidence to make sales.
Yeah,
you need confidence to get out there and show your message, right? Express your message,
Yep.
whether it be on radio or television, right?
Advertising.
And
Yeah.
and today, podcasting is the new radio, and YouTube is the new television. So
Yep.
you've got to have confidence to get out there and get your message heard. And then the third thing is leadership, right? In order for you to be an effective leader, you have to have confidence in yourself. Because if you're wishy-washy, nobody else is going to want to follow you. You know, you need,
Exactly. Right.
even if you make mistakes, man, go ahead and make mistakes with confidence. But as soon as you figure out that you made a mistake, fix it.
Fix it. Yep. Exactly.
You know, so
Yeah.
those are the 6 habits. Thank you for chiming in on your with your perceptions on these things too, because they're so valuable, man. And
Sure.
when people hear different perspectives on like these 6 high performance habits, then it gels with them. It gels with a whole lot more people. The range of people that are influenced by it is greater, and that's awesome. So thank you
Of
for
course.
sharing that with me, Sebastian.
Thank you. Of course.
All right, so I think I think you have the spiritual tip of the day now, right?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, cool. Let's go.
All right. So the spiritual tip is a question, and that question is as follows: how do you identify God-inspired direction for your future? The answer is to consult with your Creator. If we look at Psalm 25, verse 4, we see it says, "Show me your ways, O Lord. Teach me your paths." And Dr. David Jeremiah says that prayer is the divine energy that brings the power of God into the plans that He gives us. So we can learn that the information we are seeking, it's all, in a way, it's all available to us by the power of prayer and praying to God and learning more. And in a way, that prayer is a form of meditation. So even just a couple, like a minute a day, 30 seconds, a minute, 5 minutes, doesn't matter how long. You can just take any time in the morning or the night of your day, and you take this time to pray, and you can find out um, the answers that you can be looking for, or it can just be good to silence the mind. Sometimes we're always thinking all the time, and it's kind of like being at a crowded bar, and then finally once you leave and you go home, you feel very relaxed. You're like, like this feels good, because your mind is listening to so much of what other people have to say and so much of what you have to say about yourself, that praying and even not even saying anything, a word, you're just sitting there in silence. That meditation is can really help with your stress, anxiety, and whatever we go through.
100%. So yeah, it's like we have information overload, right? We're just
Yeah.
constantly taking information in from all of our 5 senses, right? Our sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell. And it's great to unplug from all of that and only be plugged into God. And
Exactly.
prayer is like getting on Wi-Fi, right? It's like
Yep.
I need to download information from the internet. Well, we need to download information from God, which is the supernet, right?
Exactly.
Right? He's way better than Google, okay? Google ain't got nothing on God. He's the big G, they're the little G.
Oh my god. Oh
Oh
my gosh,
man,
that's hilarious.
that's awesome, man. I love
That's
it.
a
I
good
love it.
one.
We're gonna plug into the big G for our information. That's awesome.
Yep.
All right, so we got to move a little bit, a little pick up the pace here because we've got our special guest Julie coming on in about 6 minutes. So let me go ahead
Yeah.
and introduce you to the entrepreneurial tip of the day, and that's coming from the 11 characteristics of successful entrepreneurs. Which again, this is download is available. I think we put a link on one of the first or second. I think it was on the first episode. So the word today here, the lesson for the characteristic that you need to adopt as an entrepreneur, according to Harvard in this study here, is adaptability. Number 3 is adaptability. So I'm going to read what it says here. Business is ever changing. It's nearly impossible for entrepreneurs to be prepared for every scenario they encounter. They need to know how to evaluate situations and adapt so their business can keep moving forward when unexpected changes occur. I love this adaptability. I've learned it the hard way from my prior business life, my businesses in the past. And there's a book called Pivot. I haven't read it yet. I'm dying to read it. It's on my book list. Pivot. And it's all about being adaptable, right? So being able to switch gears And there's another book called Lean, which means to run, like don't have too much overhead expenses, because when bad times come, and we're probably on the precipice right now of another bad time, another recession, you have to be able to run lean, and you have to be adaptable, especially because we live in a fast-paced society today. Everything's changing so fast. Like, just to give you an example, when I was studying information technology in undergrad, I bought an IBM ThinkPad A21M. It was required of the program at AIU in Fort Lauderdale, and it was $3,500 for this computer.
Wow.
It was a laptop, $3,500, and it had a 10 gigabyte hard drive and 256 megabytes of RAM. 256 megabytes of RAM, a 10 gig hard drive. You can buy a 10 gig flash drive today, like a little tiny thing for 20 bucks, 30 bucks. And
Yep.
that thing was $3,500, and that was high tech at the time. So, like, in the last 20 years, that was in 2001. So in the last 20 years, things have changed substantially. Hold on one second. I'm losing my battery here, guys. Oh, no. I don't know what happened.
Oh no.
No, that's okay. My laptop just was freaking out there a little bit. Okay, so yeah, so just to give you an idea, things are adapted. You have to be adaptable because things change so rapidly all the time.
Yep.
So yeah. All right, so Sebastian, I think you are up with the influence tip.
Yeah, that's right. So the influence tip for today is called reciprocity. And essentially, this is the first universal principle of influence. Studies show that people are obliged to give back to others the form of a behavior, gift, or service that they have received first. So they're, in a way, more reactive. And an example of this is if a friend invites you over to their party, you're going to be inclined to invite them to a future party that you're hosting at a later date, whatever time that may be, or any kind of event. And a great demonstration of reciprocity is a study that was actually conducted in some restaurants. And I believe it was about whether or not a server gave their customer a mint or a little gift at the end, whatever. Some different
Hmm.
places, fancier places, might offer a liqueur. Generally, they give you a good old mint. And so, let's see, let me pull this up real quick. It says, the question is, does the giving of a mint have any influence over how much tip you're going to leave them? Most people might say no, but that mint can make a surprising difference. In the study, giving diners a single mint at the end of their meal typically increased tips by around 3%. And interestingly, if the gift is doubled and two mints are provided, the tips don't double, they quadruple, a 14% increase in tips. Instead of giving one mint, giving two, you're going to get 14% more just by doing that small thing, giving one extra mint. It says perhaps most interesting of all is the fact that if the waiter provides one mint, starts to walk away from the table, but pauses, turns back and says, "For you nice people, here's an extra mint." Something like that. The tips go through the roof, and then that results with a 23% increase, influenced not by what was given, but how it was given. So the key to using the principle of reciprocity is to be the first to give and to ensure that what you give is personalized and unexpected. And I think, what in a way what this is telling us is that when we want to give first, we're going to receive back sometimes maybe not half, maybe not the same, maybe tenfold, maybe even more, maybe 23% extra or whatever. And it all comes from us being givers because that's like the greatest gift in the end. You don't feel as good as you when you give something to somebody else and then you see their reaction and how good it makes them feel and it makes you even feel 10 times better inside.
I love that. And God calls us to be givers, right? We're here to serve, and that's what He did. Like Jesus was the best role model of that. He said, I came not to be served, but to serve. And
Yeah.
he washed the feet of his disciples, which is the most humble thing that he could have done, right? Like in that time period, that was a very very big sign of respect and humility. And so,
Yeah.
like, yeah, we're here to give, man, and really, truthfully, like, if the more you give, the more you receive.
Yep.
It's the law of reciprocity, man. Is amazing, and I love that. And so, pay it forward, give, and it shall be. Even the Bible says it'll be compounded, 100-fold, something like that. Like
Yeah.
so that's awesome, man. I love it. So thank you for sharing that. The law of reciprocity. I live by that every day. I always, when I'm out doing my work, whenever I receive money for the work that I do, I give 10% back to the Lord, and then above and beyond, offerings here and there to people. And it's
Yeah,
just,
you've been doing that for a while, for
it
as
feels
long as I can
fantastic.
remember.
It feels fantastic to do it, man. Even like passing out, a candy bar or a bottle of water. People, I gave a bottle of water to this homeless guy the other day. He's like, oh God, he was so quenched, parched. I mean, and then, it quenched his thirst. So, like, yeah, man, even little things like a bottle of water goes a long way at the right time.
Especially on a hot day down there in Florida.
Man, 90 degrees outside.
That bottle of cold water can change your life.
For that moment,
Your life.
it's like finding gold. So, all right, it's liquid gold. All right, so let's bring Julie on. I'm so excited to have her on here. Hi, Julie.
Hello, how are you?
Good. It's so nice to meet you. Thank you for coming on to our show tonight. I'm so glad that Charlie introduced us and had you connect with us to come onto the show. And I'm particularly interested in learning about your business because we're both in real estate.
Nice, yes.
So now, Julie, you are in the Daytona Beach area?
Yeah, I'm actually in between Daytona Beach and Orlando. I'm in Deltona.
Deltona.
Yeah. The thriving metropolis of Deltona.
Hey, listen, everything is thriving in Florida, and what you're on is future oceanfront property over there.
Yes.
Because we've got a little problem called erosion.
Yep, definitely.
So, Julie, how long have you been practicing real estate? I saw on your website, your business website, which is really awesome, by the way. I actually have put a link into the show notes for your website and for that link for the credit repair, which I would love to ask you about that too at some point during our podcast here. How long have you been practicing real estate sales?
22 years.
Wow. Well, you don't even look old enough to have 22 years under you. That's amazing. I want whatever you're eating, okay?
I stay out of the sun.
So with 22 years, yeah, there you go. That's what
the sun does. It's proven the sun does age your skin. That's
yes,
what it
Some people think it's like so fantastic, right? Like, oh, I'm gonna look young with a nice tan. Yeah, right.
Sun is bad. Sun is bad. Definitely.
Oh man. So that makes perfect sense because these people in Canada, they look like they haven't aged at all.
Right. And they're frozen too.
The cold weather kind of keeps them preserved. Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh man. So 22 years. So I think you've learned a few things in 22 years.
A few tricks along the way. Yeah, I've seen some ups and downs in our business. That's the truth.
So yeah, ups and downs. So how many down cycles have you seen? 3? 2 or 3?
Yeah, I mean, really, when I came into the business, interest rates were probably about 18%.
18%.
Yep.
That was 1970.
I was born in the mid 80s.
Mid 80s, okay.
Yeah.
And people are crying about 5. I mean, like, are you kidding me?
Exactly.
Yeah, I remember when they were 8%. So, like,
wow.
But I've read about 17 and 22. Like, we're lucky.
1985, I purchased my first home. I was probably 22 years old or so. And my husband and I had a VA loan.
Woo!
Closed at 12.5%.
Oh my
of course,
God.
we had to buy the points down to make it affordable.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
wow. Was that
can happen, right?
Was that because your husband was in the military or
yeah, he was a veteran. Mm-hmm.
So he applied for because I've heard back in those days with those high interest rates, assumable mortgages was common in residential. Now you only find assumable mortgages in commercial real estate, right?
Right.
But back then, you could buy a primary home and carry it over. Yeah.
But of course, the price was more definitely,
Way cheaper, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, we're talking.
my first home was only like $43,000.
I was gonna say 30 grand.
Wow.
$43,000 is.
Right?
Nowadays, you get a new Honda
You get that for a car
$43,000.
now, don't you?
It's insane. I know. I know. I remember looking at because I grew up in Miami. I remember looking at a studio for sale in a new building in South Beach and around 1990 for $35,000.
Yep.
35,000. I mean, come on. If you had that thing, man, that's $500,000 today. Huh?
How much do you think that's worth today?
Yeah, $500,000 probably.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh my God, it's insane. So do you think we're heading into a recession?
Well, I mean, I think we're already in a recession. We just refuse to admit it.
Yeah.
And that's typically how it goes down, doesn't it?
Yeah,
We're always the last ones to be told.
Well, when people start losing their jobs, that's when they realize that.
Yeah.
And that's what happens is companies start to crunch, right?
Yes.
They start tightening the belt. We were
Yep.
talking about like running lean earlier.
All that
And
happening.
one way they save their value for the shareholders is to cut employment, right? And that's when people feel the recession for sure.
Yeah.
And that's when people start selling their houses because they can't afford the mortgage payment anymore.
Yeah.
That's like the trickle effect.
Definitely a shift, like you talked about in your earlier in the episode today, a pivoting. I've had to pivot my business multiple times over the course of 22 years. When you see shifts like this happening in the market, I'm already shifting a little bit. I don't depend heavily on buyer transactions. I'm very listing heavy. And of course, you have to analyze where those listings will be coming from in the next 2 to 5 years, typically. And unfortunately, I'm sure we're going to see more of a slide.
Yeah.
And, some will fall through the cracks and foreclosure. That's just the fact of life. A lot of experts like to rely on the fact that there's this equity position that all consumers seem to have today. But I can tell you from experience, after they sit there like a deer in the headlights, for 24 months because they can't move, they're frozen, they can't sell because they've got no place to go, so they will inevitably just ride the foreclosure out. There'll be a certain percentage of those people who don't know how to financially get themselves out, of that situation. It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. I mean, I pivoted the last time the market shifted into doing REOs and BPOs. I handled REO listings for 12 years. And of course, the short sales, we dominated the market with the short sales during that period of time as well. And we did a lot of BPOs, so there's lots of things that you can do, in a market shift that allow you to really, if you're attuned to these things, really allow you to, thrive, There's nothing to really be scared about. You just have to be attuned to the shifts that are happening and put yourself in a position to receive that,
Right. Yeah. So you said when you were doing the REO work from like the past recession that we went through, the Great Recession, were you also doing BPO work as well, or is that how you were able to attract the REO clients? Because I know that it's kind of hard to get those managers to give you those properties, right? But I've heard that if you're used to doing BPOs for those people, for the mortgage, for those companies, right? The asset management companies, I guess. Then you can get those deals.
Yeah. Typically, I mean, we are talking about, 12, 15 years ago. So again, the market does change, but yes, 15 years ago, that's typically how you would that's how you had to break into that niche, right?
Right.
You had to do BPOs. So I actually started doing BPOs. I bought a $47 digital product that was in email to me, how to do BPOs, and it was here's a sample of a resume. Here's a list of 100 banks. Some of them may be valid, some of them may not be. And here's an audio recording from a seminar, and this is what I paid for $47, and I was off to the races. I hired a girlfriend to sit there and enter 100 bank information and database into our database, into our CRM. That's just like working any other CRM back then. You would have to fill out your application on their websites and work their process.
Right.
Today, it's not like that.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the difference, really, in 15 years. We used to have to physically go to conventions and hobnob with asset managers and meet them on their floor and get a relationship built. Today, it's not like that. There's probably about 5 main databases that are universally used in the industry, and it's about technology today. You 100%. Have to be invested on those platforms, and they're very expensive, on an annual basis to be a member of the platform. But that's how the business is distributed now. It's all through portals and platforms, and really you just need to get onto those key sites and look polished, and you'll start to receive orders, I'm sure. I don't have the capacity, the team anymore in place. We have since downsized our business over the course of 22 years. You have a growth period, a growth season for your business. So there was at one point we had 25 agents with us, but over the years we have since decided, I don't want to work that hard. So we brought it back home. We brought our business back home. We are a boutique brokerage. We're a family-owned business. My husband is an agent. My son is a broker as well. And of course, I'm a broker. And we've just got 2 agents that kind of do their own thing, So we make more money just,
keeping it small.
You go through that when you're young. You think you need to dominate the planet,
Yeah.
And then as you get older, you realize you just want to make your lousy 6 figures and go fishing, right?
Right. Enjoy it. So I have to tell you, Julie, I used to own a real estate appraisal firm, right? We started off in South Florida, and then we expanded up here to North Florida. And Sebastian's been with me when he was little. I used to take him on my appraisals, and so he's gone out there and he's carried my little wheel, rolled the wheel around.
Yeah,
I was learning
business too.
He was my apprentice.
I was learning. He was making me his apprentice. Unfortunately, things turned out differently.
Trainee.
Now you're probably the tech guy, right?
I'm sometimes I'm better at the technology. Sometimes he is. It depends. We help each other out. It's advancing so much that it's hard to stay in the loop now. We're changing everything every day.
We sharpen each other.
Exactly. And so it's mutual. It's a mutual helping. But we could call me the tech guy, though. We could call me.
Yeah, we'll call him the tech guy.
I'll take it.
He is responsible for uploading the audio to Anchor.
Yeah. That's my son. My son has that position too. He's the integrator. He integrates everything for us. He puts it all together.
Yep.
That is awesome. So, but we're both in the real estate business. You're way farther along than I am, because I got my real estate broker license while I was in law school in 2017, but I never did anything with it until just recently. I'm working with one client right now to find a property. She's moving her family from Pennsylvania. So that's what I'm working on right now. So basically, the same as you, I'm a boutique operation. I'm a one-man shop right now. I'd like to grow a little bit. I'm still a little ambitious. I'm going to grow a little bit, but nothing big. I just want 5 agents in Jacksonville, right, to start with. And then hit some other local areas like Miami and so forth. But anyway, for new people who are starting on, and this is something that I've put along with, because I've gotten invitations from Clear Capital. I used to do appraisals for Clear Capital and for First American. And so they have opportunities to do BPO work, but it doesn't pay well. I think it pays $50 for a desktop review. And then they pay about maybe $100 or 75 even to go do a field review, like go inside and take pictures. And then it's just not worth the energy that it takes to go out and do that. But if you're brand new and you're getting started, it's a good opportunity for you to learn the marketplace and how property values are fluctuating by doing those BPO jobs. So I would say for a new agent, but then you still have to have your broker sign off on it. An agent can't do it on their own. Right. But I think it's good training to get into that BPO work to understand, like, get a pulse on the marketplace,
Well, I equate it to kind of trying to work part-time. It's, it's painful to do something on a small scale,
right.
Than it is to do something on a larger scale. So you think, yes, $50 or $150 is peanuts when you think in terms of one order. We had a team of agents and data personnel that pumped out 150 orders a month.
That makes sense.
That's what makes it worth it, to have a division of your business that does that. But outside of that, to do just one or two orders,
it's not worth it
sporadically, unless you've got nothing better to do,
exactly. Forget about it.
And you need to earn 50 or $100,
Exactly. Right. Yeah. You know what? You might, it's either that or go Uber.
Because let me tell you what, that first $50 that I earned when I got my first BPO order, let me tell you what, that was the hardest $50 I ever had to earn.
Yeah, probably took like 4 hours.
3 days to get that BPO accepted. I was in tears. I almost quit right there.
It's so frustrating. All the stipulations from the bank.
Yes, they don't really want your opinion. They'll tell you what they want the value to be. Sometimes.
Right.
You gotta argue with them, and then it's forget about it. Sometimes forget about it.
It's a whole lot of work for
worth it for $50.
And it's gotten worse. Like nowadays, like doing an appraisal, like they take a lot of money, just for the appraisal management companies. It's just a bad business system. It's not as good as it used to be. Right. So. Now, but they're charging a lot more now. I think I've heard that they're charging $600 a pop.
I know. I was shocked.
We used to charge $3.
Yes.
Wow. Anyway, thank God that they're going to make something though, because for a long time, man, these guys were not making. We were just when the appraisal management companies came in under the Dodd-Frank Act, they were taking half our fee, and they were still charging $300. So can you imagine? We were doing the same work and only making $150.
That's
and you got to spend 2 hours out in the field, and then you got to come home and type the report. That's another 2 or 3 hours, maybe an hour if you're really good. So you're talking 3 hours for $150. That's $50 an hour, and we were used to making twice as much. It's and then they said you can't send the appraiser trainees out on their own anymore. You've got to chaperone them. Well, why am I going to pay somebody to go out with me if I got to go out? Right? I'm going to split my money with somebody else. Come on. Yeah,
I know.
So they made it a mom and pop business. They forced us into like mom and pops where you couldn't have a team of appraisers anymore because they couldn't go out on their own. What good are they if they can't go out on their own? So it was enough for me. I held on when I think the Dodd-Frank came out in 2008. By 2010, I was out. I became an English teacher afterwards. I took a $35,000 salary, and I was happy to have it. That's
right. Those were dark days. Those were dark days. Don't let anybody tell you any different.
Yeah. But they were training. That was training time. So you learned to pivot. So Julie, I'm so sorry we haven't even gotten into our questions. We just dived into your background and real estate. I love real estate. I've been passionate about real estate since I was about 20 years old, and I'm going to be 48 in August, so that's 28 years I've been passionate about this business. I took my first sales class when I was 19 years old. I was in the Army Reserve. And I took the real estate sales class at Miami-Dade College. I thought I was going to get a 1-year certification program in real estate, but then I ended up changing into becoming a theater major, which is probably not hard to tell, right? I'm still a little flamboyant here, a little peacockish. But I got convinced to go ahead and pursue a regular degree, and that turned into a whole lifetime pursuit of 4 degrees. But I love real estate, and it's It's so fun to talk to you about this. I'm having a really great time, Julie. Thank you so much.
My philosophy is there's 101 ways to make money in real estate.
Oh my God, right? Yeah, it's so broad. The depth and breadth of the real estate industry is so robust that you can literally do one thing for 10 years, do another thing for 10 years, and they're completely different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, the only thing that's common is it's real estate.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's a bundle of rights. That's about the only thing they have in common, you know? Well, I mean, there's maybe a little bit more than that. They have roofs. They have doors. But nowadays, though, that's kind of changing because you can go rent a short-term vacation rental, which could be a yurt, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I even have an idea of buying some old boats that are like in a junkyard and turning those into Airbnbs.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, wow.
I've dabbled in some Airbnb this year. And
Did you really?
Yes. That's my pivot for this year. That's, I figure, there's going to be two classes of people in the next 2 to 5 years, those that can vacation and those that can't, right?
Oh my God, you're so right.
You want to be the one that can vacation for sure.
Right.
Yeah, I want them to be our clients.
You want to be the one making money while you're on vacation.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, I do long-term property management as well. As
You
part
do
of
that?
our portfolio. Yes.
Oh man.
And we
All
report
right.
fine self and flip properties, and I coach agents too. So I have multiple streams of income.
Wow.
I just love, diversifying everything that we do. So, it was a natural step for us to go into the short-term rental.
Yeah.
And I had a client last year during COVID. He's an elderly gentleman, and his wife had passed away, and I had sold he and his wife probably a half a dozen homes over the last several years.
Wow.
And
That's a great.
Yeah. And unfortunately, we had his house sold and under contract, and we determined there was a title problem. So he has to go through probate with that. So we had to take it off the market. We had a year. It is literally that property would have sat there. So I said, why don't I lease that property from you as long as you allow me to sublet it?
Yes.
And Airbnb it.
Yeah. Perfect.
And he said, sure.
Wow. Cha-ching.
So he gets his money. He gets his flat guaranteed payment from me. I leased it. And then
you sublet it.
I Airbnb it.
So you did Airbnb arbitrage.
It worked out well, very well. It's a beautiful home in Cocoa Beach, Florida. So everything's going well so far. So I thought, okay, I can do this. So
I love Cocoa Beach. I've actually been surfing in Cocoa Beach. It was over a decade ago, but that was the early 2000s. That was a fun thing for me to do. Yeah. Is throw my surfboard in the back of my Jeep and go hit a new territory in the Florida coast. So let me ask you about this Airbnb thing. Are you familiar with AirDNA? Are you using that to look at occupancy rates and average daily rates?
I have not played with that. I think my son might have.
Okay.
He does all that kind of technical stuff.
Okay, cool.
But I think he uses it for pricing and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Awesome. So
it's an algorithm. It's like anything else. You have to manipulate the algorithm. And tweak it every day or two. And
definitely. Yeah. That's called revenue management. I actually, something you probably don't know that Charlie wouldn't have mentioned is that before going to law school, I actually went to FIU and got a master's degree in hotel management. So
wow.
He's got all the degrees.
All the degrees.
So he's overly qualified.
I can't work for nobody. Nobody wants to hire me because I'm overqualified. So I have to be my own boss. So
my brother had the
I'm
same
overqualified
problem.
and underpaid. So that's awesome. So I'm writing a book called Short-Term Rental Conversions. Nice. And it goes through all of the different things that you need to do to manage your property, like revenue management, how to set it up, where you can get good deals, how to design it, which that's put a little flair on it. I'll give you more details about that. I'll send you a copy of it if you'd like.
Nice. Okay.
Read it before it comes out.
Definitely.
And listen, when we wrap up, I'd like to get your property management website address, because I don't think that was listed on your main website. If you have a website and you want to market it, give it to me and I'll add it into our show notes.
Okay.
Yeah, very cool. So before we wrap up, I'm going to give Sebastian an opportunity to ask you one of those questions that we have on our list here. Sebastian, you want to take one of the questions?
Sure. Yeah. So do you want me to go and start with question 1?
Yeah, that sounds great.
All right. So can you still see me? I have it pulled up on another window. Okay, perfect. All right. So the first question is, what does your morning routine look like?
I'm an early riser, so I'm typically up about 4 or 5 a.m.
Same here.
I'll sit with my coffee and an audiobook for
Just like him.
a good fair amount of time, probably more than I should, to be honest with you. But I do drink my coffee in the morning, and I multitask with the audiobook. Now, I do have a couple of habits that I'm really stickler on in my normal morning routine. I like to send 5 note cards a day.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, and I use a system called Send Out Cards.
Okay. Wow.
Something that is an app that I can do on my phone, but I got about 400 inner circle prospect clients, basically. They've already closed. I've sold them something, or they're a referral source of some point in that nature. So that's called my inner circle, and I'll send 5 cards a day pretty diligently.
That's amazing.
If I miss a day, I make myself do it on Saturday, but I'll get 25 out a week. Woo! And that's a hard set for me. And I can do that right on my phone app while I'm drinking my coffee on my back porch at 5 o'clock in the morning. So there's no excuse, right? Then I will typically scan my systems. I have a social media posting platform that I'll quickly monitor, check out what's going to be posted out in my social media that day, scan that. I'll typically clear my inbox. I have a 0 inbox policy.
Nothing left unread.
I'm not neurotic, I promise.
And then on the other hand, I have too many open emails.
Tribe. I do the same thing. I check I
have a 0 inbox policy. Because my son and I work remotely together, so he has access, of course, to my email, and that becomes our checklist of incoming things that are coming into the day. So we have folders. As soon as it comes in, it gets put into a folder. It's either needs to be done today, or it's for review, it's for reference, or follow-up, or whatever it's going to be categorized on. But as soon as it comes in, it gets processed. If it's junk, it gets deleted. So I have a 0 inbox policy, and we work from a to-do folder of tasks that are necessary to be processed for that day. Okay.
First things first.
Yeah. Yep. And you got to keep on top of that. Otherwise, your email will just eat you alive.
Oh my gosh. Right.
It
turns into a monster.
And then by the time I make it to my desktop,
I'm currently drowning in my email.
Yes. Then I make it to my desktop, I like to quickly balance my checkbooks, because I've got multiple, businesses. So I've got 6 checkbooks that I need to, I've got Quicken, and a few clicks of the button, download the transactions, review and approve, and boom. I keep my eye on my money. I think that's important. If you don't keep your eye on your money runs away from you.
Oh my God.
And I have a manager that I use that is called Monday.com that has our tasks that need to be processed for that day. I'll monitor that, and I can see what has been accomplished in the last day, yesterday, and what needs to be a priority for today. So that's, my morning routine, less than an hour. If I don't count the time I spend on Facebook.
that can creep up too.
Yes, that's the worst.
That can add up.
Oh my gosh, it's so addictive, man. It's like it's more addictive than coffee, even.
Yes.
Which is a big statement. So when on that Monday.com website, I'm curious, do you have a bookkeeper that's included with that program that you pay for managing your books, or do you just do everything yourself and then run it through the Monday.com for reporting purposes?
Monday.com is a task manager.
Okay, so it tells you what.
That's just tasks, due dates, and priorities.
Oh, okay.
That's how I track what my son is accomplishing.
Okay, and so you do your own accounting then?
Yes, I use QuickBooks and Quicken.
QuickBooks, yeah, QuickBooks, yeah. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, so it's a quick, and they're all, I do it all myself. I categorize everything as it comes in. Mm-hmm. So it's all categorized. My P&L is right there. Boom, boom, boom. I just, download it on a stick and give it to my accountant when it's ready.
Well, there you go. Well, it's awesome that you're able to accomplish all of your morning tasks in an hour and a half max, right? Like you just push yourself a little bit. That's fantastic. I'm like 2 hours, but it is what it is. Your morning routines are so important. So thank you for sharing that information, because I think that, young business entrepreneurs that are listening to this podcast at some point, whether it's now or in the future, they can benefit from this information so much, because if they hear that people who are succeeding in their businesses do this, they all take time to do a morning routine, there's a pattern there, and they'll be more likely to adopt it, right? And that's what we're looking to accomplish.
Yes, I've sent 5-note cards for probably over 10 years.
Oh my God.
It's a habit. It's just a habit.
Wow.
And when you think in terms of all of the little things that ultimately make your business successful, if you will simply break them down into micro habits, they're so much easier to maintain.
Yes.
And stay on top of. If you were to say that to someone who doesn't have a routine or a method to their madness, they think, oh my God, I don't have time to send 5-note cards.
No, you didn't.
But really, if you had a system, it takes me literally 15, 20 minutes to, hey, let us know if there's anything we can do for you. Hope you have a great day.
Right? It's really simple, right? We don't have to. We got to keep it simple, silly. Like don't overcomplicate it.
Keep it simple. Don't overthink it. But don't skip.
Right.
Don't skip those little tiny tasks it's the little tiny tasks that make you successful.
Oh my God, man. You're preaching to me right now. I need this.
Right. I mean, if you can take on a project, okay, I'm going to take on this project. I'm going to direct mail market this campaign for 6 months and blah, 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 blah. But if you aren't consistent with all of that, nothing is going to transpire. Nothing is going to happen. You can take on all the big projects that you want and work them for, 4 or 5 months. And if you don't get over that hump, that dip, and make it consistent and make it a pattern and make it part of your daily routine, you're wasting your time.
You're right. The long-term benefit from it, right? Yeah. The long pace down the road. It's got to take the long road. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
It's a marathon.
Yeah. I love it. So I'm curious because of this note writing habit, it reminded me of what I learned in the 9 Habits of Ninja Selling by Larry Kendall. Is that something that you studied as well?
Yes, 7 levels of communication. There's lots of great books, that Eat Your Frog, Never Split the People by You. My gosh, Audible is I just consume books with Audible.com.
It works for Warren Buffett, right? Why would it work for us?
I listen to them probably 2 or 3 times. That's kind of my habit. I'll listen to them over and over because I'll have them on when I'm doing things, not necessarily when I'm sitting there concentrating and listening to them. I just have them subliminally feeding into my brain.
It goes in. It rings a bell down the road, right?
It does.
So you just got to plug it in.
It does.
That reminds me, you said 2 or 3 times. That's really fantastic because I if I really, really like a book, I try to read it 5 times because do you remember Tom Hopkins?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
So I got a book from Tom Hopkins at one of his seminars in Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah.
I'm dating myself. This was like 20 years ago, 15 years ago, right? and if you read a book 5 times, you'll only retain 60%.
Yes.
Isn't that shocking?
Yeah. Well, there are some books that I have read every year for 20 years. How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie.
Dale Carnegie, love that book.
Annual read for me. An annual read. I take it to the cabin with me.
Wow. That's awesome.
And I started reading that book when I was probably 16 years old.
Wow.
I pulled that book off my sister's shelf at her house and read that book. And I just, it just impacted me that much.
Same here.
Wow.
And I can tell you, I know that I implemented a lot of those techniques when I was a teenager. I mean, I started out, my first job was at like a Taco Bell in Portales, New Mexico, which is just, the armpit of the Midwest. There's nothing there. Population 12,000 people, and that was it. But I remember implementing those and kind of talking to the owner of the business and asking him how he got started, and really building that relationship with him. And I was promoted. I mean, I was 17 years old and I was managing the whole place, and even still, when I started out my career in finance with Fleet Finance and Mortgage Inc., I was the youngest. I became the youngest manager in the entire corporation in the mid 80s. At 22 years old, I was managing a multi-million-dollar finance company.
That is
all by myself,
Wow.
And so I really think that book, it definitely made an impact on my life. So it's an annual read for me, for sure.
That is amazing. So anybody who's listening has to plug in on that.
Yeah.
They have to go pick up a book of Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. We'll put a link into the show notes here so you can just click on it and grab it. Don't hesitate. Sebastian, did I give you that book?
I remember the book.
Okay.
I have given that book to my staff as a gift, as a Christmas present before. They didn't appreciate my sense of humor.
They have no idea how beneficial it would be to them if they just absorb the content, right? Oh my God, it's so amazing. That's awesome. I remember giving a book to Sebastian, or if I didn't give it to him, I told him about it, because I feel like I give him a paperback copy.
I think you gave it to me, and I don't know.
It's a paperback copy.
I don't know where it is now.
We'll find it.
I have no clue, but I'm gonna order another one.
Yeah. It's probably in one of these boxes here in my closet.
I'm sure it is, because I had a book collection.
You do have a bunch of books.
I always have a book collection everywhere.
Sebastian moved up to Boston a year ago, Sebastian?
Yeah.
It's been over a year now.
Yeah, over a year. So he still has things here. He still has a foot in. He still has a foot in Dad's house.
I have stuff that I've been missing, so I can't wait to come down this summer and get everything and see you guys. And I want to see you guys.
Of course.
But
that's awesome.
Yeah, definitely will get that book back and read it.
That's awesome. So Julie, we've come past our time already, and I want to thank you so much for your benevolence and your generosity for being here on this show. You really made it so fantastic. You were such a great guest. Thank you so much, Julie. We love you. We thank you. We bless you. We hope that you have a lot of much more success. It sounds like you are going to, but we're going to continue to wish that for you. And we hope that you'll come back again in the future and be a guest on one of our future podcast shows.
Absolutely.
Outstanding. Thank you. You have a great night, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll put those links into the show notes for you. And we will see you next Tuesday for the next episode of the Entrefluential Life.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Good night.